Hello everyone. In this session, I'm going to discuss attribute of at the rest test annotation. So in the last session, we have discussed what is a TestNG, and we have discussed different types of annotation that we have need to use in TestNG. Let's today we are going to understand different types of attribute that you can use at the rate test level. At the rate test level annotation, you can apply different types of attribute based on requirement. So let's understand here there are several attributes is given. You can check here just like depends on method, priority, enable, groups, data provider. So let's one by one we are trying to understand. So first of all, here these are attributes available depends on method, priority, enable, group, data provider. So to add more flexibility and customization of the execution flow of test method, we have attribute of at the rate test annotation. So these are attributes are given that we can use at the rate test annotation level by which we can add more flexibility and customization of the execution flow of the test method. So first attribute depends on method. Actually, this command used to execute a method based on its dependent method. Let's understand what the use of this. So we have create new class. So we move to the our Eclipse ID. In the Eclipse ID, last time we have created our TestNG training project. Under SRC test Java, we have created last time testing package. Under testing package, let's now we create new our tester class. So to create a new tester class, yes, we have need to right click on testing package. Just right click on the testing package. So we have right click here, go to the new, and there is option class. And here we can give the class name. Suppose I give the class name like demo 03 underscore test and the underscore dependencies. Now click on a finish button. So now we have created a class. Let's now in this class, we create some test cases. So suppose here we have created three test cases. One is a login, another is a dashboard, and third one is a logout. Suppose in my application, we have need to test three functionality. One is a for login. So here we define one test case, test method like login, public void login method is defined. Here we writing the logic for testing the login functionality of the application. Now this method we have annotated at the rate test annotation. We have annotate using at the rate test annotation. So there are three functionality that we have need to test it in my application like login. Second one is a dashboard functionality and third one is a logout. So login, logout, and now here we understand dashboard. So just let's copy this and now here we paste these methods. So let's understand here. We have defined there are three test case we have defined. Here we have defined three test case. One is the login test case, another is a dashboard test case, and third one is a logout. So let's control it. You can select. So go to the source. Here you can give a correct indentation. So now in our test class, there are three test case available: login, dashboard, and logout. Now, if you run this test class, right click, run as, and you can run test ng test. Now you can check here which test case gets executed first. Now there are three test cases executed successfully. And now you can check which test case executed first. Here dashboard first executed, then login, then logout. Actually, when you define a test case, by default, yes, no, in which order those test case gets executed, those test case executed in the alphabetically order. So in your tester class, you can have multiple test cases, but which test case gets executed, it depends on, actually, it depends on, it follow alphabetically order. In which order you're defining the test case in that test class, in that order, test cases doesn't get executed. So by default, it will follow alphabetically order. You can check here, dashboard. This name start with D. D comes before L. So that's why dashboard gets executed first. So it means dashboard test case gets executed before before executing logout. So what my requirement? Actually, you need to test dashboard functionality until you have already checked the login functionality. Once login functionality is successfully, then you have need to check the dashboard functionality. Then how you can do it? So dashboard functionality needs to be tested only if the login functionality gets successfully tested. It means before executing the dashboard test case, which test case needs to be executed? Login test case needs to be executed. After that, dashboard test case needs to be executed. And once dashboard test case gets executed, then logout test case needs to be executed. It means dashboard test case is dependent on the execution of the login test case. Here, dashboard test case execution dependent on the login test case. So here, if one test case is dependent on another test cases. If one test case execution is dependent on another test case execution, then we can use depends on method. Depends on method attribute help to define the dependency between various test methods. So it means dashboard method has a dependency. Dashboard test case has one dependency. Dashboard depend on which test case, login test case. So using depends on method attribute at the rate test annotation level, you can define the dependency between various test methods. So here, dashboard test case is dependent on which test case on the login. So here you can check at the rate test level, you can use attribute that are depends. You can check it depends on method. And depends on method attribute, you can check here depends on method. Now this is it will take an array. Here you can pass the name of those test cases on which this dashboard is dependent. So dashboard is dependent here in this case in the login test case. It means dashboard test case gets executed only once login test case executed. Okay, check. If you run this, your tester class, TestNG test, and now you can check here which test case executed first. Now you can check here in this tester, test engine runner, you can check here. First one which executed login, then executed logout. But dashboard you can check here. Dashboard gets executed after the login. After the login. After the login, dashboard gets executed. But here one more problem is so logout. Logout needs to execute after executing the dashboard. Because once you have successfully logged in, then you have checked the dashboard functionality. Once you have dashboard functionality you have tested, then finally you need to check the logout. So it means dashboard needs to be executed after executing the login test case, but logout needs to execute after executing the dashboard. It means logout test case is dependent on a dashboard. So here you can specify the dependency using add depends on method attribute at a test level annotation. So depends on method. So this test case depends on which test case. So what is the test case name? Dashboard. Your method name is a test case name. What is the test case name? You can check it. You can copy the name of the method and paste here. So now here in this way you can control your flow of execution also, because sometimes there might be chance one test case execution is depend on the another test case. Until that case not executed, yes, no, another test case not required to execute. Just like here, Dashboard test case needs to be executed after executing the login test case. This means dashboard test case has a dependency of login test case execution. Similar logout test case has a dependency for dashboard test case. Now, if you run and check the flow, here run as, you can use run as TestNG test, and now you can check here. So which test case gets executed, you can check it. If you check, login first executed, then dashboard, then logout. Now it's working fine. So this is the use of the at the depends on method attribute. So what is the use of depends on method attribute? Depends on method attribute have to define the dependency between the various test methods. Let's understand another attribute, priority. So what is the use of priority? Let's we create new test class first of all, and then we try to understand the priority attribute at the rate test annotation level. So right click new, and here we create a new class. I have given the class name like demo2 underscore test and the underscore priority. In this test class, let's we have created several test case. Let's we have created several test case first of all. I have created test 1, test 2, test 3. There are 3 test case suppose we have created. Let's we create these 3 test case. So here we are defining there are 3 test case we have defined. Just we have copied and paste. And now here you can check and we have defined the 3 test case. Just press Control space. Now you can check automatic. Now we have imported at the rate test annotation. Now we have annotated at the rate test annotation at test 01 label also. Now go to the source. You can make correct indentation. Now you can check there are 3 test cases available. Test 1, test 2, test 3. We have defined how many test cases here we defined. There are 3 test cases we have defined. Test 1 inside test 1 method, then test 2, then test 3. Let's run these test cases. If you run these test cases, run as TestNG test. Now run the tester class. If you run the tester class, now you can check here how many test cases executed. There are 3 test cases executed. But which test case executed first? Here you can check it. Test 1, then test 2, then test 3. Actually, by default, already we have discussed whatever test cases you have defined, order of execution of those test cases is alphabetically ordered. But sometimes, based on your requirement, I want to execute first this test case, suppose then later on this, and then in the last we want to execute this test case. So based on our priority, we want to execute any other test case based on priority. We want to set the priority. So based on your priority, if you want to execute the test cases, then priority attribute helps in prioritizing the test method. So you can prioritizing the test cases using the priority attribute. This attributes actually accept the numerical value, and the method with the lowest numerical value will be executed first. So here you can check here, we can set the priority, yes, no? So go to the test case, which test case you want to execute first. Suppose I want to execute test 2 first. So you can here give the priority attribute and you can set the priority. I given the priority as like 0 here. And now here you can check a third case, priority I have given like 1. And now for this test case, I give the priority like as a 2. You can check it. So which test case executed first? Which this the test case which having priority with numerical value as a lowest. So which test case has priority value as a numerical value as a lowest? Second test case. Let's understand. Let's first run it and check the output. So here, if you run these test cases and check here, there are 3 test cases pass, and you can check which test case executed first, second, then third, and then first one. It's based on our requirement. We can prioritize our test cases using the priority attribute of at the rate test annotation. The test method which having priority value as a lowest value, that test case gets executed first, which having highest priority value that gets executed at last. Okay, so here one more thing. There are suppose there are 3 test case we have defined, and when you run our test cases, once you run your test class, uh, all the test cases that are available in your current tester class gets executed. But as per my requirement, suppose we want to disable, we are not interested to execute any particular test case while you running your tester class. Then you can achieve that thing using at the rate enable attribute. Enable attribute, actually using this attribute, we can enable and disable your test case execution. This attribute will take Boolean value like true and false. The method having the value false will not be executed during the execution. It means if you want during the execution of your tester class, if you want to enable or disable any particular test case execution, then you can enable or disable using the at the rate enable attribute. You can check here. Now we have set enable attribute value as a false here. Now if you run your tester class and check here whether test1 gets executed or not executed. So if you run your tester class, in this tester class, we have defined 3 test cases, but you can check here how many test cases gets executed? Only one. So there are only, there are 2 test cases executed, 2 and 3. One is not executed. Why one not executed? One is not executed because you have set enable value as a false. It means you have enable as a false. It means during the test class execution, this test case will not get executed. So based on requirement, if you want to enable or disable execution of any particular test case, you can enable and disable of any particular test execution based on enable attribute. If you want to disable any particular test case execution, you can set enable value as a false. So there are 3 attributes here we have discussed. One is the depends on method, second one is a priority, and third one is a enable. Using priority, we can prioritize our test cases, and using enable, we can enable or disable test case execution. Okay, next we have one attribute like group. Let's understand what's the use of group. Okay, first we have create one our test class, and then we try to understand what the use of group attribute. So we have created new test class here. So we have created new class. Go to the class, and here we have created class name like demo6 TestNG grouping. If you click on finish button, under this you can check here. I have defined some test cases. First we have defined some test cases. So we have defined 3 test cases here. We can copy these 3 test cases, and let's understand we have defined 3 test cases. Go to our tester class. In the tester class, we have copied 3 test cases. We remove everything. Here we have defined one test case. You can check here with name car. Second, we have defined car1. Third one is a car2. Okay, so first we import this at the rate test annotation. Let's make it correct indentation. Okay. There are how many test cases we have defined here? There are 3 test cases we have. You can check it in this tester class, we have 3 test cases. Car, car1, what is the test case name? Car1, car2. If you run it, you can check here. If you run the test cases, how many test cases executed? There are 3 test cases executed. Understand the requirement first of all. Go to the runner tester. You can check here in the TestNG platform. There are 3 test cases executed. Car, car1, car2. So it means we have defined 3 test cases. Car, car1 and car2. Let's understand next point. Actually, here suppose my requirement, we want to add test method to a particular group. So when you define a tester class, within a tester class, you can have multiple test cases. Now sometimes suppose as per your requirement, you want to make a group just like. Suppose I define one test class, yes, no? In this test class, you can define several test cases, and some test cases belongs to a particular group, some test cases belong to particular group. Just like here, you can check here. We have one test case like public void M1. This is a T1 test case, suppose. And now we have defined this T1 test case. And then we have T2 test case. Then we have T3, T4, suppose. We have T2, and then we have T3, and then we have T4. So there are suppose four test cases we have defined. Now what my requirement? My requirement is that both test case I want to add in one group. Suppose this is a group number one. It belongs to which group? Group one. And now other two test cases we want to add into other group. It means within the same tester class, we have multiple test cases. Now some test cases belong to a particular group, some cases belong to a particular group. Now when we are running our tester class, then suppose I want to execute only those test cases that belongs to which group? Which that belong to G1 group. So what my requirement when we running this tester class, in this tester class, only those test cases are required to execute which belongs to a particular group like G1. Sometimes we want to execute all those test cases which are belongs to G2 group. So then how we can achieve it? To achieve it, we are using group attribute. Actually, group attribute is used to add test method to a group. Using group attribute, we can add a test method to a group. So all the test method belonging to a group that can be accessed a later point using the group name. It means all the test cases which are belongs to particular, just like here you can check here T1, T2 belongs to which group? G1. T3 and T4 belongs to which group? G2. So later on, if you're trying to access all those test cases which belongs to G1, so you can access using the group name. What the group name? G1. It means when you're accessing G1 group, it means we want to run G1 group. When you're running the G1 group, it means all the test cases which belong to the G1 group gets executed. So similar here, you can check here. Here we have did. I have defined three test cases: car, car1, car2. In this car, you can check here. Car actually this car test case belongs to which group? Here we have created group like with name car, and we have created one group with name e car, and we have created one group sedan. So car E car sedan belong to a module called as a car. So here we have created car, yes, no, test case, but here we have created one group with name car and E car. It means this test class, this test case belongs to which group? It belongs to car group as well as it belongs to E car group also. Now car one belongs to which group? Car one belongs to car group and car one belongs to which group? Sedan group also. And now car 2 belongs to which group? Car 2 belongs to car group. So now here you can check here. If you check, let's we remove this, all this thing. And let's check here. How many group we have created? There are three group we have. One is a car, we can say. And next one is a e-car. And next one we have sedan. So in the car group, yes, no. Which one is a test case? Car test case. And now you can check here. Car 1 also belong which group? Car. And car 2 also belong which group? Car. Now we have another e-car group. E-car group, which test case belong? Car test case. As well as which group belongs? E-car belong. Only car belongs. Now you can we have sedan group. In the sedan group, which car test case belong? That is a car one. Car one. So you can check here. When you accessing the car group, Under car group, how many test cases required to execute? There are three test cases. Under E car, how many test cases required to execute? One. Under sedan, how many test cases required to execute? Three. Let's understand how we can create a group. Okay, so first we define a group, yes or no? Which test case belongs to which group? So let's here we define our group. So go to our tester class. Go to our tester class. Let's remove everything first of all and check here. So there are three test cases we have defined, and now we have added some test cases into particular group. So here we have added test cases to a particular group. How we can add test cases into the group? Using group attribute. So we can use group attribute at test level annotation. And now this group can have string array, yes, no? So here this test case can belongs to which group, yes or no? You can mention all those group. So here car is the part of car group also, as well as car is the part of e car group. So one test case can belong more than one group also. Similar for car 1 is belong to car group as well as it belong to sedan group also. Car 2 belong only which group? Car. So here we have defined the test cases, and after defining the test cases, we added those test cases into a group. Now how you can execute any group, particular group. So you can define your suit. Within a suit, you can check here. Within a suit, you can include a group. You can check out how you can specify which group needs to be executed while you're running a suit. So suit you can create using suit tags. Last time we have discussed within a suit, we have test tag. Now within a test tag, we have classes. Sorry, here test. Now here you can use within a test, you can group. It means you can specify actually for this test case which group you want to include. So group, you can use group tag. And within a group tag, we can use run tag. You want to run a group, but which group you want to include? Run. So here you can use include tag within a run tag, and you can specify the name of the group that you want to execute. So when you're running this group, it means all those test cases gets executed which belong to the car group. And then you have classes, and now within a classes we have class tag. Now within a class tag, you can specify the name of your tester class that you want to include in your suit. So let's now we create our yes no group. So how we can create group? Let's understand one more time. So first you need to create a suit. How we can create a suit? Using suit tag. Within a suit tag, which tag we have? Within a suit tag we have test suit tag. Within a test, if you want to create a group, so you can use group tag. You want to include a group, so you can use group tags. Now within a groups, you can check here which group you want to run. So you can use run tag. And within a run tag, which group you want to include, using include tag, we can include a group within a run. Include. And here you can specify name of the group, whatever you want to include. Then finally, outside the test, we have classes, yes, no. Under classes tag, yes, no, we have class. And then you can include all those classes, yes, no, that you have required with the suit. So this is a sentence. Let's now we are try to implement it. So now we clear it and now we copy. Go to our tester class. And now here you can check go to the associate test resources. Under that we have created our suit TestNG.xml. Let's now we run our suit. Let's we change our suit. And here you can check it. Here we created one suit with name suit. Test name is a test. Under that we have added groups. Now inside group we have run tag. Within that we including the groups. And then classes tag. Under classes, which class you want to add? what the class name demo6 test ng grouping, but that is available in which package? Testing package. So give the package name like testing. So I have created this suit. You can check here. While we running this suit, in this suit, we have include this tester class. In the tester class, whatever test cases is available. So those test cases, actually each test case belong here for the group. So which group of test cases needs to be executed? Only those test cases needs to be executed which belong to car group. Okay, let's run your suit. So right click on your suit file and click on run as TestNG suit. If you run TestNG as a suit, you can check out how many test cases gets executed. There are 3 test cases gets executed. You can check here which one, car1 and car2. Already we have seen, yes or no? So this car, yes or no? We have 3 type of group we have created: car, e-car, and sedan. In the car group, there are 3 test case block. You can car1, and car2. Sedan, you can check out how many sedan group, how many test case belong to the sedan group? Only one. Go to your test engine suit. If you change your group name, suppose I specify group name like sedan. Now, if you run your suit, you can check if you run your suit. In this suit, you can check how many test cases gets executed. Only one test case gets executed. Car1. Why? You can check here. Car1 belongs to which suit, which group? Sedan group. So it means whatever test cases you have defined, you want to add those test cases into a particular group, then you can use group by group annotation. Sorry, group attribute. Group attribute is used to add test method to a group. All the test methods belonging to a group can be accessed at later point using group name. And then you can check when we have to execute method that belonging to a specific group, you can configure the group name that to be executed in your suit file by using tag groups run and include. So my point is clear. My point is if you want to execute a method that belonging to a specific group, you can configure group name that needs to be executed while you're running your suit. You can include that group using group run and include tag. So which tag you can use? Group run and include tag using group and run include tag. You can run. You can include. You can check it just like here we have used yes to group tag. Within a group tag, we have run tag, and within a run tag, we are using include. And here you can mention which group you want to include. So one more point, can we include more than one group at a time? Yes, you can. Any number of group that you want to include, you can include. You can check here. We are using group run and include tag. If you want to include any group, that group needs to be executed while you're running your suit. You can include that group within your suit file using group run and include tag. Suppose I want to include one more group, so you can use again include tag, and here you can specify the name of the group. Suppose I give the name of the group as a car. If you run your suit, now all those test cases gets executed which belong to the sedan, or we can check car group. So there are 3 test cases gets executed. So this is a way we can add test cases into particular groups. Now, next thing, let's understand one very important point here. Here we have defined, you can check here, there are 3 test cases: bike, bike 1, and bike 2. There are 3 test cases we have defined: bike, bike 1, and bike 2. Bike test case we have added in which group? Bike, e-bike. It means you can check here, all type are test cases like a bike type. Yes, no? It means all these test cases belongs to bike group. But some bike can be actually electric bike and some bike cannot be electric bike. So what my requirement? Understand first requirement. Here we have defined 3 test cases: bike, bike 1, bike 2. Suppose by requirement, if you want to execute all the methods that belonging to the module electric vehicles. Which group? Electric vehicles. And you have execute all the methods that belonging to the e-car and e-bike. It means electric car and electric bike. So we can create new group like electric vehicle in the TestNG file, and we can map the method. You can even combine the group and give the name electric vehicle. So you can check here one very important point here. What meaning of this line? Let's first we define, create one test class, then you will get clear picture. What my requirement? So here we have created one more file like demo7 TestNG group. Demo7 TestNG grouping. You can finish it. So this is one test class we have defined. Now in this test class, we have defined, suppose there are three test cases. First understand, there are three test cases under demo 6. Let's we remove all these test cases. Now check it, there are three test cases we have defined. And bike 1, bike 2. And here you can understand, we have all those test cases, we are added into a group. How many group we have here? We have one group bike, another group we have e-bike. In the bike group, we have how many test cases? One is a bike, another is a bike 1, and third one is a bike 2. Bike 1 and bike 2. These are test cases belong to which group? Bike. Now, e-bike, we have only, yes or no, one bike. Actually, this test class belongs to bike, but it is also part of e-bike, electronic bike. It means electric bike. Okay, now what my requirement next? Now my requirement, I want to execute all the method that belonging to the module electric vehicle. So if you want to execute all the method that belongs to the electric car and electric vehicle, your test case may be belongs here either electric car, e-car and electric vehicle. E-car and electric vehicle. Okay, let's we copy those test cases also. We have copied these test cases. Now go to your tester class. In this tester class, you can check it. There are several test cases we have. Now you can check. We have car group also and bike group also. We have e-car, electric car group also and e-bike group also. Now what my requirement? Now my requirement, I want to execute only all those test cases, which, yes or no, all those test cases that include electrical vehicle. Which one include? Electrical vehicle. So if you want to execute all the method that belongs to which module, yeah, which group? Electrical vehicle. Electrical vehicle, you may be car, electrical vehicle may be your bike. So if you have to execute all the method that belonging to the either e-car or e-bike. So one more thing important. Actually, my requirement here we need to execute all those test cases which belong to electrical vehicle. Electric vehicle module. Electric vehicles can be your e-bike. E-bike is also one group we have created, and e-car. So there are two different group also. Yes, so available e-car and e-bike. But here just we have specify, yes or no? We need to execute all those methods which is the part of the electrical vehicle. So then how you can execute those test cases? So you can create a new group like electrical vehicle in your TestNG file also. And you can map all those methods which is the part of the electrical vehicle. So you can combine the group and you can give new name like, yes, no, electrical vehicle. Just like here we have two group, e-bike, already we have two group, e-bike and e-car. In e-bike, yes, no, we have some test cases. Some test cases belong to e-bike, and we have another group, e-car. E-car, in this group we have some test cases. Now what my requirement? I want to combine both test cases. I want to combine both group, and then we want to create a new group which contain both group. So you can create a new group like electrical vehicle in your TestNG file, and you can map the method, and you can combine the group also and give the name like electrical vehicles. So you can check here in your suit file, whenever you want to create, include any group, we are using group tag. Then we are using run. Inside run, we are using include. But I want to define new group. In that group, we want to include other group. So if you want to define a new group, you can use group tag, groups tag, and within a group tag, if you want to define new group, then you can use define tag. So we are using the tag like define tag. Using define tag, we are defining the new group. Define, and we have given the name of your group like electrical vehicle. So in this group, we want to include other group. So here you can check inside define tag, we are using include tag, and here we specify the name of the group that you want to include under this module. So under electrical module, electrical vehicle module, we have added two group, e-car and e-bike. Then you can check here, you can start run tag, yes, no? And now within a run, you can check here, you can include which group? Electrical vehicles. You can include which one? Electrical vehicles. So let's how we can define group. Let's understand. So first of all, you can use suit tag. Within a suit tag, if you want to create a new group, so you can first of all you can use test tag. Within a test, yes, no? You have group tag. Using group tag, you can create a new group also in your TestNG file. So we have created new group. How you can define a group? To define a group, we are using define tag, and you can give name of your group, whatever you want to give. And then after that define tag, yes, no, then you can use include tag. Using include tag, you can give the name of the group that you want to include under the given module. And after defining the group, yes, no, then you want to, yes, no, run. So you can use the run tag and run open and close. And then within a run, you can use which tag? Include tag. So which group you want to run, you can include here, and you can give the name of your module that you have created that you want to run. So let's try to create. So just we have copied this one and go to our testng.xml file. I have created one testng.xml file, just paste here. And now you can check it. Here we have created, yes, no, suit. Now, what is the tester class name? Tester class name is a demo7. And now, what is this testing package? Package name is a testing. Okay, here we remove this tag. Let's one again understand. Within a suit, we have suit. Now, if you want to create a group, earlier we have discussed if you want to run any group, yes, no, there are three tags you need to use: groups, under groups. Under groups, you can check which tag you need to use, a run tag. Now under run, you can include that group that you want to run. Earlier we have discussed, yes, no, using these three group, yes, no. These tag using groups, run and include, you can run your any specific group that you want to execute while you're running your test case. So these are three tags we are using: groups, run, include. Under groups, we are define run. Inside run, we are include the name of that group. Then if you want to create any group, you can check. Now, first you can define group. So you can use define and you can give your name of your group, and now define tag. Now define tag. Once you define the group, now within this group, if you want to include any other group, yeah, any test cases, if you want to include yes, no, any test cases, a group, you can include. So this is a simple syntax. So you have defined the group. Under this group, which one you want to include, you can specify. I hope it's clear. So now here similar we have defined, you can check here one group, which one? Electrical vehicle groups. Under this group, yes, no, we have added two group, e-car and e-bike. Then we are using run tag. Now inside run, we are using include tag. Inside this include tag, we have specified which group, which module? Electrical vehicle. So electrical vehicle is also one group, but it contains what content? Normally, a group contains suppose multiple test cases. More than one test cases can belong to particular group. Now we can create a super group. Now that group can also belong another group. So electrical vehicle belongs to group e-car and e-bike. Now e-car and e-bike itself one group. Let's run this tester class, run your suit file and check here how many test cases get executed. There are two test cases executed. Why two test cases? You can check here. Actually we want to execute only electrical vehicle. So this is also electrical vehicle car and electrical vehicle and then e-bike. Yes, no? This is also belongs to which group? Electrical vehicle, e-bike. So now that's why there are two test cases executed. You can bike and car. So that is a concept that you need to remember. Yes, no? If you want to execute all the method that belong to the particular module like electrical vehicles, you have to execute all the method belonging to the group like electrical car or electrical bike. So you can create new group like electrical vehicle in your TestNG file and map the method. You can even combine the group also and give the name like electrical vehicle in the XML file. So this is the group use of the group attribute. Okay, so let's now here we have discuss our test cases. Now let's here we understand one more thing. One more attribute is pending, that is a data provider. What means of data provider? Let's now we go to the our test case and let's understand what is a data provider. I have defined in let's we copy this demo 7. Let's we paste here and demo 7. Now here give the name like demo 8 and TestNG data provider. Now you can finish. Under this test class, we have defined one test case. Simply have defined one test case. Okay, when you define a test case, remember this point, your test case method should be public, non-return type. Suppose I define test case login. Now here suppose you are checking the login functionality. System.out.println login test case. Just I'm writing login test case. Okay. So this login test case that you have defined, this here inside this test case, you can write a logic to test your login functionality. But this test case gets executed how many times? Only one times for one user. Which user, yes, no, you want to test login functionality? Only one time executed. But my requirement, suppose I want to execute same test case multiple times for different input. What my requirement? My requirement, I want to execute same test case multiple times for different input. Actually, when you're going to perform login functionality, then it requires two things, username and password. Username and password. But what my requirement? I want to execute same test case multiple times for different input. Then we should go for parameterized testing. Parameterized testing means while you define your test case, you can define the parameter. So suppose here we define two parameter, name and password. So now here we define two parameter, name and password. Let's just we print those name and password value. Name equal to just like name, whatever name we have passed, we checking here. and password value we are checking. So now what my requirement? My requirement, I want to execute same test case multiple times for different input. So if your test case is a parameterized, another point, if you run this test case, because when you're running the test case in TestNG platform, you are not calling this test case explicitly. But what happened? You can check it's showing error, exception. Why? Because your test case is a parameterized. Parameterized method means it requires those value. You have not supplied those value. How you can supply the input for your test case method? So whatever test cases, if you define any parameterized test case, if you want to supply the input for your test case, then you can use data provider mechanism. So it means you can check here how many input you require for first time when you're running the test case. For the first time when you run the test case, this test case expecting two element, two value. How many for first test for first time when you're running the test case, it expecting two input, two element at a time. It means you need to pass username and password. It means for each time when you want to run this test case, you need to pass two values. So what you can do, you can create like array, yes or no? Array, how you can get just curly braces open and within a curly braces, yes or no? Now here you can specify set of values. Suppose first value we have passed John, comma second value username and password John123. So this is a first row input of data. If you want to define multiple row of input data, then comma, put another curly braces within a curly braces, yes or no? You can supply set up input value separated by comma what you have required. Here for each set we have required two value, we have put two value. So how we can define our data provider? Using data provider mechanism, we can supply input to our test case. If our test case is a parameterized test case, then we need to supply test input to our test case. So we can supply test input for our test case using the data provider mechanism. So here we have defined one method, and that method will return one just like which type input required, string type. So you can create string array, string square bracket 2 times square bracket, and then you can give any name like I give the name like T data, test data. And now we have created this method. Inside this method, you can check here I have declared one string array. I give the name like data equal to curly braces open and close. And now how many set of rows we need to supply? Here we can supply. First set of rows, suppose John, comma, what the value? Password John123. This is a first set of data, comma. I want to supply one more set data. So you can give name, username. What is the username? Peter. And what is the password? Suppose Peter123. And now if you want to supply one more, so you can give a value like just like Mark and Mark123. And after that, you can return yes, no, that data. So now this method actually basically what does this method helps to supply data. Now this method, this is a normal Java method, but this method acts as a data provider. Then you can annotate your method using @data provider annotation that provided by the TestNG. So once you mark your method as a data provider annotation, it means this annotation indicating a method as a supplying data for your test method. It means the method that you have marked using @data provider annotation, that method can act as a supplying data for your test method. And here you have one attribute, you can use name, you can give any name for your data provider. Suppose I give the login test data. I give the provider name that is a login test data. So it means here we have created one data provider with name login test data, and this provider can provide test data to our test case. So now this data provider we want to set in our test case. While you running your test case, whatever data it will provide, now those data will be needs to inject it in your login test case. So how we can set this data provider for our this test case? So if you want to set this data provider for our your test case, go to the test annotation level, and here you can use one attribute like data provider. So which one can act as a data provider for your test case? You can give the name for that provider. What is the data provider name? Here we have setting login test data. So we have one data provider with name login test data. Now once you run your test case, so first time you can check here, first row of data will pass your param first time your test case. So first value go to the username parameter, second value go to the password. Now this test gets executed. Again, now test case gets executed for different input. Second times, what's the input? Your name become as a Peter and password become as a Peter123. Again, this test case gets executed for different test input. For your name become as a Mark and password become as a Mark123. If you save it and run, you can check here, right click, run as, and test and get test. And now here you can check here. If you run your test case, you can check it. There are 3 test cases executed. How many test cases? And now here you can check it. There are 3 test cases. But have you defined how many test cases? You have defined only 3 test cases. But how many test cases executed? 3 test cases. It means same test case executed 3 times for different input. You can check here also. The login test case executed for which input first of all? John and John 1, 2, 3. Same login test case executed for which input? Peter 1, 2, 3. Same test case gets executed for which input? Mark 1, 2, 3. So it means if you want to execute a test case, same test case multiple times for different input, then you can use data provider mechanism. So you can define your parameterized test case and you can inject and you can provide, you can supply test input data to our test case using data provider mechanism. Then your test case gets executed multiple times for different input. So that is a TestNG attributes. So here we have discussed TestNG annotation level attributes. So first we have discussed, you can check just we have recap all those points, whatever we have discussed. So in this session, yes, no, we have discussed the TestNG attributes. So we have discussed several attributes like first of all, we have depends on method, depends on method. This attribute used to execute a method based on its dependent method. We have used the priority. Using this, we can set the priority of the test method. So lower priority will be scheduled first. Enable, the value can be true if you want to test method gets executed. Otherwise, you can set as a false. Groups, it is used to club several test method under a common name. And data provider, TestNG data provider is used to provide data set for test method parameterizations. I hope it's clear. Thank you so much.